Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of People of Clubhouse. My guest today is Donna Michaels, and she has a very intriguing, complex, and very informative story to tell. Donna, we're going to be talking about your life first, and then you're going to be talking to me about your book. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. First, I'm going to ask you about this handsome boy with you in the picture. Who's that?
This is my boy, Saint.
Saint. Okay, that's a beautiful
Saint,
name.
yes.
Hello, Saint.
He was named after Saint Michael, and Saint Michael is what we consider the patron saint of police and military. And since I'm personally connected to both, I thought that was a good name because I consider him my protector.
That's very sweet. And he is your service dog.
He is my service dog. Yes,
what does a service dog do, Donna? A lot of people listening to us now would probably not know what a service animal would do.
Well, there's a variety of things that they can do. Actually, sorry,
it's okay.
They're now playing.
No worries.
So service dogs can be trained to do so many things. For PTSD, in my case, he sleeps with me at night, which gives me the peace of mind and the security I need, so that if there were an intruder in my home, I know that he would be on top of it and give me time to address the matter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And eliminate the threat, as we say.
Yeah, okay. You're a police officer, so now you're going to be speaking to me in lingo.
Okay, yes. So, no, I mean, in case instead of somebody sneaking into my house while I'm asleep and me not knowing it, he would alert to it, which would give me an opportunity to take action.
Amazing.
And obviously, hold them at bay while I do what I need to do.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that. Is he trained to tackle the attacker or something? No?
He is, but you would never ever know it outside my home when we go out in public.
Exactly.
When he puts his service vest on, he knows he's in working mode. He knows that he's not to be pet by others. He knows that he is to cover my six, is what we call. So, for example, if I'm talking to someone or I'm at a counter in the mall or whatever, he will automatically reverse and sit and face behind me so that no one can sneak up on me from behind.
Wow, okay. So he's trained to do these things in order to protect you. He knows what to do.
He knows what to do, and he's a, as you can see, he's a big 90-pound German Shepherd. So, people don't just automatically walk up to me. Usually, most people don't, because they see the dog and they're like, no, I'm going to give her a wide berth, which helps me because part of my PTSD is I'm very, very claustrophobic. Very.
Oh, okay.
So
you take him with you everywhere. If you're traveling, he goes with you. If wherever you go in the mall, wherever, he's with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he flies on planes with me. We've been to the White House. We've been to the Capitol building in D.C.
Wow.
Subway systems, anywhere, pretty much everywhere. And, anywhere where there's a crowd, it's a huge help for me, because instead of people bumping into me and just getting too close to me, he gives me that bubble, that safety bubble around me, that it keeps my anxiety under control and helps me relax and not be so on edge.
That's fantastic. And you're also a mom of human beings, as well as a mom of furry babies, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You're a single mom.
I'm a single mom. I have a beautiful, brilliant 15-and-a-half-year-old daughter who was born extraordinarily premature at 29 weeks. And she has not had it easy, but she's quite amazing. She's mature beyond her years. I'm very proud of her.
Wow. She's lucky to have you, and you're lucky to have her, I'm sure. And so
very
with this
much.
Background, what I wanted to do is to put this human background first, before we start to talk about your career, which is you are a veteran of the U.S. Navy. And you are also a police officer about to retire. And with all that, and the dogs, and the kid, and being a single mom, and handling, juggling all that, and writing a book.
And caring for my elderly mother too. Don't forget.
And caring for your elderly mom. Wow, woman, you have strength. I admire you. So you're doing all these things. while having been into a very traumatic life experience that caused you PTSD, and because of that, technically in the military and the police, you're considered disabled. I want to
That's
talk about
correct.
that to the extent you are able to talk about it here, and people can just go read your book for the details. So I'm just going to be quiet, and it's all yours. You tell me what happened, how you feel, what made you write the book, what is PTSD to you, what did it cause you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I came from, I wouldn't say an abused childhood, but I came from a troubled childhood, meaning my father had mental illness and was just not a nice person to, you know, be raised by. My mom was a saint for putting up with him because, you know, she took her vows seriously and for better for worse. And she figured, well, oops, I chose worse, but I made a promise and I'm sticking with it. So I joined the Navy like many people for the same reason many people join the military, you know, to get an opportunity in life, to get away from home. My family didn't have the money to send me to college. And back, you know, in 1988, when I graduated high school, um, you know, there weren't as many scholarships as there is today. You had to be like a star athlete or, you know, something
Yes.
along those lines to get full scholarship. So, and on top of it, you know, I came from a long line of Navy. My grandfather was a World War II veteran, all of his brothers. I grew up hearing these incredible stories about other countries and cultures, and I wanted to see the world really badly. And I thought, you know what better way than to join the military, you know, and join the Navy like everyone in my family has and see the world. But I did go in a bit naive. I just assumed that, you know, everyone that joined the military was like my family, you know, good, patriotic, you know, American people. And I wasn't properly prepared that, you know, there were that the possibility could exist that there were people in the military that, you know, would do me harm. So I just freely gave away my trust to everyone.
I see.
And when I got through boot camp and I got to my first duty station, I was welcomed with open arms, you know, by everyone, which is pretty common. You know, hey, here's a new person. Let's show them around. You know, take them out, make friends. You know, all that. It was really cool. But there was this one in particular person who wanted to be more than just friends, and I wasn't interested in that. You know, I just wasn't interested. But he kept bothering me, and he kept bothering me, and I didn't say anything to anybody. I just figured he'll get the hint eventually if I ignore him long enough. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen. He was senior to me by quite a bit, and I was asleep in my barracks room one night when he had what we called the watch, and that gave him possession of the master keys to all the rooms in the barracks. And he used his master key to break into my room and sexually assault me. And back then, from what I hear still today, which is really sad, it makes me sad. It hasn't changed much, but back then, as a woman, you just didn't report those things, because if you did, you got, you know, labeled as a troublemaker. No, you know, and he even said it to me. He says, you know what? He goes, you're an E2, I'm an E6. Nobody's ever going to believe you. So you'd probably be best to just keep your mouth shut about this. And I had worked, you know, so hard to get to where I was. You know, here I was at my first duty station overseas. It was in the Azores off the Gulf Coast of Portugal, with an opportunity to see Europe, you know, because there would be what we called hops, plane hops to all the different European countries. And I wanted so badly, you know, to do that, that I was like, okay, I told myself this never happened. It was just a bad dream. And I took, you know, I remember vomiting and taking a shower, and I woke up the next day, like, it told myself, you know what? It was just a bad dream. And I went on, and it took a toll on me. You know, when you bury a trauma like that and you don't properly process it or deal with it, it kind of just laid in my, in that little box in my brain that I, you know, put a lock on and decided not to open. But as the years went by, you know, without my own knowledge, I wasn't cognizant that the symptoms of PTSD began, you know, like the nightmares and the major trust issues and all kinds of things. But I was very lucky in that my next duty station was in Panama with Navy SEALs. And I was one of two females at my unit.
Okay.
And these men had no idea what had happened to me. And so given that, I got an honest view of what good men really look like.
Yes, that's
And
very important.
yes, and over a period of time, they earned my trust. And they treated me like a sister. They looked out for me if we went out into the city, sometimes through some dangerous areas, because back then, Panama had just gone through an invasion where we outed their dictator,
Yes.
Manuel Noriega. So it was pretty dangerous back then to go into the city, but we did it. But we did it in groups, right? We didn't go alone. So I went out and, with the guys, and they would make sure that I was protected. They taught me things about being aware of my surroundings, what to do if this happened, what to do if that happened. So I learned some really good survival techniques from them. And by the time I left there, I was leaving family. I mean, truly like family. Here we are 30 years later, and these guys and I are still, all of us are still family.
Wow.
And in my book, one of them wrote my foreword for me. He's a New York Times bestselling author, Don Man. And the other review that's printed on the back of my book was actually my old commanding officer. He was kind enough to write the review that's on the back of it. So there is some wild stories in there about hilarious antics and shenanigans and just good old-fashioned military fun that I've had some veterans readers come back and say, oh man, you brought back some awesome memories for me. I have things I haven't even thought about, because there's a lot of times there's downtime people don't realize. And during that downtime, you'll get into playing prank practical jokes on each other and just good fun, and so
how did you get over the that bottled up experience? Did you go through therapy?
Well, yeah, what happened is I never did deal with it. I never did deal with it.
Okay.
It just kept getting further and further buried. And then
did it manifest physically? Because if you bury so much
it was manifesting all the time, but I didn't realize I didn't realize that's what was happening. So I had every time I would meet, I'm 51, I've never been married. I'll give you that example. Okay. So every time I would get close to someone or feel like I was, getting close to someone, I would push them away. I would sabotage the relationship. I would, my demons would come out.
Of course.
And it was because of those fears. But I had no idea why I was doing these things. I had no clue. And I was, it would cause me frustration and why can't I find somebody, blah, 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 blah. And then it realized, it was those were my issues going on and I just didn't recognize them. So in 2017, I had been a cop 17 years.
Wow.
And throughout those 17 years, I had, responded to murder suicides between, domestic husband and wife murder suicides. Wow. I had witnessed, teenage suicide.
While having PTSD?
Yeah, but I didn't know I had PTSD.
You didn't know that, but I mean, I'm trying to speculate. I'm interested in mental health and I talk a lot about these issues and so on. So it's amazing what you're telling me because you didn't know you had PTSD and yet you were exposing yourself to those extremely dangerous triggers that could completely crash you.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what happened in 2017. I got crashed.
Oh my God. Okay.
So over the years, but some of the horrific car crashes, talking some and, hang in there, knowing good and well they were dying, right? But you never tell somebody, hey, you're about to die. You just don't do that.
Yeah, I understand.
But, but over the years, these memories just kept, I had, like I said, I had that little lock box and my brain would just put the bad ones away.
Exactly.
And what I've learned is that I was also putting good memories in the box that I didn't want put in there, but the brain has a weird way of doing that sometimes.
Yes.
So I started having memory issues. Like people would talk about old good times and I'm going, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
How come? And they're like, how can you not remember that? You were there. It was hilarious. And I'm like, and it was bugging me. Why can't I remember this stuff? I just had total lapses of time in my life that just didn't exist.
Amazing.
It was so frustrating.
I'm very happy that you're okay now. If I could give you a hug, I will.
Oh,
I
thanks, so
really, I'm
sweet.
so
Thank
sorry
you.
you had to go through this. And it's good that the world is waking up to how women are suffering in silence. So many millions of women are going through this every
Yes.
single day. This is why I'm talking to you, because I wanted to raise this issue and expand the awareness that this is an issue that any woman anywhere in the world could face, sometimes from the closest people to her.
Absolutely.
And you're very, very brave, Donna, for speaking up like this and for putting this in your book, because I'm sure a lot of people can benefit from your experience. So I hope that you'd look at it this way. It was for the greater good at the end for you and for many people who are going to be rescued psychologically when they feel the camaraderie with you, that they are not alone, and that such a strong woman like yourself even had to break down like that. People sometimes hate themselves when they are subjected to
Right.
so much pain, and they blame themselves for being weak or for not resisting enough or whatever. So seeing somebody like you who is literally a Navy SEAL and a police
No, no,
officer.
no, 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 no. Please don't say that. I I was a support
Support, I
for a
understand, but
SEAL
I mean
unit.
your strength.
Yeah.
I'm referring to your strength for being on the
Oh,
front
okay,
lines and so
okay.
on, and being a police officer, and at the same time a woman who is soft inside, who has the right to scream out in pain and say, please understand me, please feel me, I need help. I think this story is going to help a lot of people. Um, at the end of every interview, I always ask my guests, what would you like people listening to do to help you to support your cause or to collaborate with you?
Well, I would love, of course, for people to buy my book,
Of course.
and read the story, because there's so much more to it. You
And we'll be
know,
sharing the link in the description of this video. So
yes.
besides reading your book, anything else?
Yes. If someone is struggling and they've been through, sorry, and they've been through any type of trauma that has caused nightmares or self-medicating or difficulty, in any way, it is, there's nothing to be ashamed of. You are not sorry. You are not
Exactly.
broken. You might feel broken. And I relate to that. You might feel broken, but you are not broken. You've just got some scars that never properly healed. And when you go get help, they will reopen those wounds, but they will help you properly mend those wounds to where you can live with it, and feel so much more free as a result. Which is what my goal is to erase the stigma of PTSD so that we can reduce the number of suicides from it. The suicides are because people are afraid to ask for help. They feel alone,
Exactly.
and they don't understand that they're not. But trust me, they are not alone. They are not.
Yes, yes, I completely support you in this amazing message. And it's basically the title of your book that caught my attention to ask you for this interview, Courageously Broken. I think you are courageously healed, Donna. So thank you so much for sharing this very touching story with us today. And you're very welcome to come back and expand on it later on.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. You've been a wonderful host.
You're very welcome. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Sahar and I'm done speaking.